So John Mozinski, Jr., General Chairman, Burlington Northern System Federation. I represent Maintenance Away and Bridge and Building members in Sioux City and around the area. We only represent BNSF members in districts 100, 200, and 300, so from Wisconsin out to the West Coast. For us, we agreed to a tentative agreement, and it will be sent out next Tuesday, the 20th. So it'll go out the 20th, and then members will vote and they'll count the votes on October 10th. My personal thoughts on BNSF, the guys that I represent, which is about 2,000 BNSF guys on districts 1, 2, and 3, most likely are going to vote no on it, just because there's a lot of different things, obviously the wages, healthcare, things like that, but also the travel expenses away from home provisions aren't laid out specifically by railroad, and so it ends up being a national rule, and the national rule does put us at a disadvantage.
So your rank and file will say no then to the contract?
I believe guys are going to vote no, especially up here. We have a big issue for cost of living in District 100, which is the West Coast, and then over here in like Sioux City, Sioux Falls area, a lot of the feedback is that it isn't enough. The job market is really hot right now. There's a lot of pointing to the raises and different things that John Deere got. That kind of set the standard, and so this falls short of that, and so that's where a lot of disappointment exists from. A really big thing is also our vacation and sick time. It lags behind. Most people, when they start jobs, they have better sick time and vacation time and able to roll it over. And so that's a big sticking point. We don't actually have any sick days. And you saw that, like the BLET and SMART, they were holding out to try to get additional sick days and different things like that. What ended up happening is they got 3 unpaid days. We can use dead days right now. We don't have the same attendance policy, so it's not as big a win for us, and it really won't apply to us because we have that ability right now anyways. It's the sick time and vacation time. You know, to get 3 weeks of vacation, you've got to be here 8 years.
How many employees do you represent in the Sioux City area again? What are they saying about this contract?
Local there is Local Lodge 908, and it's a joint lodge between Sioux Falls and Sioux City. And so it's about 80 members, depending on the time of the year, about 80 to 90 members for that local. They alternate meeting locations between Sioux City and Sioux Falls. And what they're saying is it's mixed on different things. For like the mobile guys, for the guys that work on the road a lot, traveling gangs, some of them say that they're interested in the agreement if they knew what the expenses were, but they're not interested in the national tentative agreement. And then the local guys, all that's happening is a raise and no vacation time, no sick days, and then an increase in health care. And so they're like, I'm not interested in that. I'm going to vote no. And so that's what I hear back from different guys from that area. We're governed under the Railway Labor Act, train industry and the airline industry. The way that act was written, it really handcuffs us sometimes because there are no time limits on different things for like voluntary bargaining, how long mediation. And so we have to go through the whole process, each step, and push to make the next step happen. And so we haven't got any raises since 2019. You know, obviously cost of living and stuff has gone up. So, I mean, is it important to look at as a whole? Yes, in the country and everything. But I'm also looking at, I represent our guys. That's what I'm paid to do. And our guys' level of living has continuing to go down because they haven't seen the increases. And we've also had a ton of guys cut. So our guys are doing more with less. And the railroads have made billions and billions of dollars, and they have the ability to pay our guys. And when they're offering $10,000 bonuses to try to get new hires, they were unwilling to negotiate for our guys that worked through COVID and even pay a retention bonus right now. They're not willing to negotiate, but they'll throw $10,000 to $20,000 to a new hire who's not trained. It's a problem. If they can afford to spend that money that way, they can afford to give our guys raise to make sure they're working here and we're keeping a workforce adequate to protect the tracks and make sure, because what's happened is we've essentially become crews to running to fix band-aids because we've been cut down so far. And so that's also something that we always argue about, is manpower and different things like that. And so what could it have on the effect of nationally? The railroads started to do stuff this go around to kind of put the blame if products or different things were going to be late or anything like that, shifting that blame to the union, saying that, oh, look, if there's a strike, we can't transport this and different things like that. They've cut down and set up the process that they have right now on how they transport stuff. And so we're just trying to get a fair deal. We obviously have a TA that members are going to vote on, so we'll end up seeing what happens there. It would be a national strike if members voted down and we get ready to go, and that's why we've tried to make sure Congress lets us finish it out, because we have a process that takes so long right now that we are allowed to use the collective power being in the union to strike if you can't reach a deal. I mean, it shouldn't take 2.5 years to reach an agreement with these big corporations. I mean, that's just crazy. And so what would happen is we would either be able to do self-help, which is a strike, or they could lock out on that day after if members voted down. And so it would be a national strike across all Class 1 railroads and some Class 2s as well. In the tentative agreement, it lists all the railroads that it covers.
Okay. Anything else that you think we need to know?
I think it's important that the general public knows that we're having the most people resigning that we've ever had. It used to be a career job, but because of the conditions, the cutting of manpower, people are leaving at a rate unseen before in the rail industry. And because guys are sacrificing a lot to be away from our families and different stuff, especially for maintenance away guys. And then the train guys also, they're on call a bunch. And so it's a unique industry. It's heavy travel. The railroad's moving all the time, so it's not like you're able to be at home. You cover a wide range. And we were looking for a fair deal that addressed some stuff that hasn't been addressed in a long time, like sick days and vacation. And we weren't able to do it. And, obviously we got a TA without that stuff. And that's why I think some guys will vote it down, because those things aren't addressed. And so obviously if it gets voted down and we have to renegotiate or enact striking or a self-help, I'm hopeful that people will look at that and be like, man, you guys don't even get sick days. Your vacation takes that long. You can't roll it over. We work outside all the time. So that's all we do. And we have no sick days. It's just it's a unique industry. And I just want people to know that. Yeah, I guess that would be all.